We're diving headfirst into the world of Pokemon and the bizarre Mandela effects that have fans questioning their existence.
Huh? What are those? And why are you dressed up like that?
Mandela effect is a phenomenon where a large group of people remember something in a significantly different way than it actually occurred. Today, we're not just catching Pokemon, we're catching false memories, starting with Pikachu's tail. Pikachu obviously first appeared in episode 1, Pokemon I Choose You. It starts with this epic battle between Nidorino and Gengar on TV. Ash, our 10-year-old hero from Pallet Town, is super hyped because he's about to get his first Pokemon the next day. His mom reminds him to sleep, but all he can think about is which Pokemon he'll choose. Bulbasaur, Squirtle, or Charmander. Next morning, Ash oversleeps, and in a rush, he ends up at Professor Oak's lab in his PJs. But guess what? He's late, and all the starter Pokemons are taken by trainers who were on time. Here's where it gets good though. Professor Oak says there's one more Pokemon, a Pikachu. But he warns Ash that this Pikachu is kinda tricky. And here comes the Mandela effect part. When Pikachu first shows up, it's this super memorable moment.
Pikachu.
Its name is Pikachu.
As we all know, Pikachu is this adorable electric mouse Pokemon. But dude, there's so many people, including myself, that thought Pikachu had a black tip tail. Turns out, it's always been all yellow. I don't know, do you remember seeing a black tip on Pikachu's tail?
Still not good enough?
Pika.
We all know Brock as the guy who's always with Ash and Misty, the one who's crazy about cooking and Pokemon breeding. You know how we all watched Pokemon as a kid and felt like we all knew every episode by heart? Well, I don't know about that because a lot of people online thought that Brock left the show at the end of the Johto series. Like they were for sure he said goodbye and that was it for him. But these people have to be on drugs because that actually never happened. Brock didn't leave the show at the end of the Johto series. He actually stuck around for a lot longer. But I really started thinking about it. What would be the possible reason for someone to think this? And the only thing I can think of is when Brock was in the Johto series, he was a pretty significant character, you know? He had his moments, his funny crushes, his recipes, all that stuff made him memorable. But I guess after Johto, even though he was still around, his role did kind of shift a little bit. He wasn't as central to the story anymore, plus Pokemon was changing. New regions, new characters, and Ash's other companions started to take more of the spotlight. But still, I believe this is one hell of a reach. People's focus shift to new stuff, and somewhere in that transition, their memory kind of left Brock behind.
My name's Brock. Nice to meet you, Susie. I want to breathe like you. I
Kinda similar to Brock, there's a false memory that Misty was in the anime for about a decade. She first shows up in the anime's debut episode where she encounters Ash after pulling him out of a lake. Ash had borrowed her bike to escape from a group of Spearow.
I'm borrowing this! Wait, that's my bike! I'll give it back someday!
And ended up getting destroyed because of Pikachu's Thunder Shock. This led Misty to tag along with Ash in his adventures, but she soon becomes one of his closest friends. She journeyed with Ash through multiple different regions, but when it comes to her duration in the anime as a main character, it was primarily during these series. After the Johto journey, Misty returned to her city to take over duties as a gym leader. Her sisters were off on a world tour, so she had to step up. Though she wasn't traveling with Ash anymore, Misty did make appearances later in the series. She popped up during the Hoenn Saga, the Battle Frontier adventures, and even visited Alola. More recently, after seeing Ash win the Pokemon World Coronation series, she got inspired and started traveling again, leaving the gym to her sisters. But while Misty is a well-beloved character and had a significant impact in the series, her time as a main character alongside Ash was actually around 5 years, primarily in the early seasons of the show. We get introduced to Psyduck and Hypno's nap time. Ash, Misty, and Brock end up in Hop 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 Town and immediately get dragged into this super weird situation. There's this mother who confuses Ash for her missing son, and it turns out a bunch of kids in town have just vanished. They see this wall with photos of all these missing kids. It's super creepy. But get this, they go to the Pokemon Center and Nurse Joy tells them that all the Pokemons there have been acting really off for the past 3 days. The same time kids started disappearing. Officer Jenny's got this gadget that's picking up weird sleep waves, and even Pikachu starts dozing off. They find this Psyduck at the center and it just starts constantly holding its head, looking more miserable than usual. It's got this never-ending headache, which seems way worse because of these weird sleep waves. So this whole Psyduck situation in Hypno's nap time really stuck with me, especially since it's our first encounter with this Pokemon in the show. And I have a Mandela effect that I don't know if it's just me, but for the longest time I was under the impression that Psyduck evolved using a water stone. Like, I know how stupid that sounds, but I guess it's because Psyduck is a water type Pokemon, and to my defense, we've seen other water types like Poliwhirl and Shellder evolve with a water stone. So I mean, I'm not crazy. Plus, Psyduck just has that vibe of a Pokemon that will need some sort of special item to evolve. Turns out I was completely wrong. Psyduck actually evolves by leveling up. Mew's color being a Mandela effect has been talked about for years on TikTok now. In Mewtwo Strikes Back, Dr. Fuji creates Mewtwo from Mew's eyelash for Giovanni, but Mewtwo, realizing it's just a weapon, destroys the lab and goes rogue. Fast forward, Mewtwo invites trainers to New Island, including Ash, Misty, and Brock, who manage to get there despite a storm caused by Mewtwo. Now, here's where it gets interesting. As the battle between Mewtwo's clone and the trainer's Pokemon escalate, there's this subtle moment where Mew starts to follow Team Rocket around the island. It's almost like a whimsical, playful presence amidst all this chaos. But when Mew finally revealed itself during the climax, that's where the Mandela effect kicks in. So many fans remember Mew being white, especially in these earlier appearances. In Pokemon Double Trouble, Ash and the gang hit up Kumquat Island. He's all pumped to challenge the last gym leader, and there's this cool hotel vibe going on. But you know Ash being Ash, he's more about battling than chilling. Anyways, get this, another woman, not the one from the last time I talked about this, but another woman starts thinking that Ash is her kid, and hugs him out of nowhere. Which is extremely weird because again, remember in Hypno's nap time, another woman thought Ash was her son?
My son is back with his mama!
So this woman Luana is actually the gym leader Ash needs to battle. But first, Team Rocket makes a grand entrance, and with this, chaos begins. They're up to their usual Pikachu napping attempts, but Luana's Alakazam steps up with some slick moves. Now here's where it gets even better with Alakazam. This Pokemon, right? It's the brainiac of the Pokemon world. Incredibly smart with super powerful psychic abilities. And yet, it doesn't have that star on its forehead that everyone seems to remember it having. People swear Alakazam always had this star similar to Kadabra. But nope, there's nothing even there. In Pokemon the Movie 2000, the plot revolves around Ash, Misty, and Tracy, where they encounter the legendary bird Pokemon, Articuno, Zapdos, and Moltres. The collector, Lawrence III, tries to capture these legendary birds to awaken Lugia, which completely disrupts the world's climate. Ash, being the chosen one, must gather 3 crystal balls from the island of these legendary birds and bring them to the shrine.
I'm the chosen one! Right now, I feel more like the frozen one.
This shrine is guarded by a Slowking, who plays a significant role in the story.
I could use pants.
Now, the Mandela effect in question involves Slowking, a Pokemon often mistakenly believed to evolve from a Slowbro, which is not true. Slowking is actually an alternate evolution of Slowpoke when traded while holding a King's Rock, similar to how Slowpoke evolves into a Slowbro through leveling up. This Mandela effect that Slowking evolves from Slowbro likely just stems from a misunderstanding of Pokemon evolution mechanics. In the Pokemon series, Slowpoke can evolve into either a Slowbro or a Slowking, but these are separate evolutionary paths. So yeah, I think people just got this one completely wrong. Another one I believe many fans hold a mistaken belief is in the first generation of Pokemon games. Many Pokemon fans hold the mistaken belief that the first generation of Pokemon games lack dual type Pokemon. But again, like, these people are just wrong. Like before, this misconception likely stems from misunderstandings or just game glitches. And with that, we close the Pokeball on today's journey through the world of Pokemon Mandela effects. Thank you for watching and hit subscribe for more Mandela videos.